the president declined to assent the finance bill 2024 and sent back with a memorandum indicating that he had rejected all the clauses of the bill. So that memorandum and rejection will also be part of the business of the House. Remember that under our standing orders, when the president sends a memorandum of that nature, any member who wants to overturn that memorandum or any provision therein must garner 2/3 of the members of the House. That's about 233 or thereabouts of members. So we will be placing the memorandum before the House. This also addresses the issue that I've seen in the media, that the bill was going to be operational within 14 days of the rejection of the memorandum. That is not true, and we have no provision in law or under the Constitution for that. The bill is in limbo, is in purgatory, so to speak, awaiting the next vote on it in the House. Following that rejection also, government, in furtherance of the austerity measures now being undertaken and the stress in the budget processes, has brought a supplementary budget, supplementary one, which I forwarded to the Parliamentary Budget and Appropriations Committee. It has been conducting hearings with the sectors of government, and those sectoral hearings should be done by today or tomorrow. So a report on the supplementary budget will also be on the floor. The president also referred back the division of revenue bill, which shares out our resources between the two levels of government. Given the shrinking purse that the government has, the president has indicated that then both levels of government must take some haircut on their revenue allocation. That will be on our order paper. We also have the county allocation of revenue bill, a bill that, as you know, originates from the Senate always, but ends up in the National Assembly. The president referred it back to the Senate, also advising that the counties must take a haircut on their allocations. And the Senate, I believe, after dealing with it, will refer it to the National Assembly as is required by the Constitution. We'll also be vetting the nominee for the Director General of Health, Dr. Amoth, whose nomination came to the House just before we dealt with the finance bill. The committee that vetted must now be ready with the report. It will come to the House, debated. If approved, then Dr. Amoth will be appointed the Director General of Health. We also have the health laws that we passed, which you know, Digital Health Act, Primary Health Care Act, and the Social Health Insurance Act, where the High Court had an opinion that certain provisions of the Act needed to be brought back to Parliament for reconsideration and alignment to constitutional provisions. So those bills will also be most likely presented on the floor by the majority leader who leads government business. We also have bills that are awaiting second reading in the House. We have the Culture Bill. The report will be tabled. We have the Kenya Roads Amendment Bill, Bill number 18 of 2024. The report is going to be tabled. We have also party or private sponsored bill. That's only one, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Amendment Bill. We also have bills that have come from the Senate that we need to deal with. The Mang Beans Bill, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill from the Senate, and the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, that we will be dealing with. Equally important, I'm sure I've been seeing a lot in the media, is the Conflict of Interest Bill, a bill that originated in the National Assembly, went to the Senate, it was heavily amended. You've been hearing the EACC raising concerns. Those amendments from the Senate are now in the National Assembly and will be dealt with in this session. We have amendments to the sugar bill from the Senate, which will also be dealt with, and amendments from the Senate of the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill of 2023 and the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill number 2 of 2023. These are all bills that originated from the National Assembly, went to the Senate. Senate, in their wisdom, preferred some amendments, and they'll be sent back to the National Assembly. As you know, if the National Assembly concurs with the Senate amendments, the bill moves on for assent because it will have been passed. If the National Assembly doesn't agree with the Senate amendments, then we'll end up with a mediation between the two houses, and ordinarily those mediations come up with the acceptable solutions to the bills. You also, I'm sure, are aware, I've been seeing in the media, allegations that there is any restriction on the media coming to Parliament. Nothing is far from the truth, and the testimony to that is you're being here before me, that you have come to Parliament to do your work as you always do. The only issue is that following the extensive damage that Parliament suffered, we have, as management of Parliament, allocated media that covers Parliament, space across the road at the Red Cross building, but we will be able to facilitate live coverage as we have always done, access to any materials from Parliament to the media, and we will be able to ensure that the safety, security of Parliament, parliamentarians, our visitors, including the media, are guaranteed at all times without any inconvenience, because we have a duty as a House of Parliament to ensure that whatever we do is open to the scrutiny of Kenyans in wherever parts of the world they are through media circulation, media coverage. Thank you. Any question? You have many. Yeah. Oh yes, I've forgotten to inform you that we also have the process of reconstituting the IEBC. You know, the president ascended to the IEBC bill recently. It was a public event at KICC, whereafter the time started to tick. Within 14 days of assent, we must have the selection panel in place. The nominating agencies of the selection panel are Parliamentary Service Commission, that's ourselves. We've already organized, we are going to conduct interviews for the nominated candidates by the majority and minority parties on Friday this week. The Interreligious Council is nominating 2 persons. They will send the names on or before Friday. LSK, the Law Society of Kenya, 1 nominee. We have the ISPAC, the accountants body, nominating 1 person who should be sent to us by the end of the week. And the PPLC, Political Parties Liaison Committee, will be nominating 3. 1 from parties that are not represented in Parliament, and 2 from parties that are represented in Parliament, the majority coalition and the minority coalition. So we hope that by the close of the week, we should have the selection panel list ready to be sent to the president to appoint a chairman out of them, and the rest be gazetted not later than Tuesday next week to start their work. Yes, I'll start with you.
My name is Emmanuel Cho.
Yes, Emmanuel.
Just a couple of questions quickly. How much was the damage caused by the invasion that we saw in terms of money? Number two, you said media is free to cover this place, but our colleagues said Lali and Stephen Eto were told their access was suspended. What's the fate of that?
One, the damage cost as assessed by our insurer was about 94 million Kenya shillings. That's the damage we suffered. We had insurance cover, so the insurance is taking steps. Work has started in restoring the damaged buildings and the damaged furniture, TVs, and other equipment within the precincts of Parliament. On the question of your colleagues, this issue came up when I had a meeting, not as myself, but the Parliamentary Service Commission met with the Media Council of Kenya, the Editors Guild, and the Parliamentary Journalists, what do you call it, the one of Haemba Association. We had a meeting and this issue also came up, and we informed the team that we met that no media house has suffered any and will not suffer any sanctions from Parliament. But we have reports that your colleagues that you have mentioned did not conduct themselves in keeping with the laid down rules and code of conduct and ethical behavior between Parliament as a host and the media houses that cover Parliament. The matter is before the Parliamentary Service Commission and the management boards of senior management in the houses for investigations. While the investigations are going on, it is only fair that we don't prejudice these investigations by asking the two gentlemen to keep away from the precincts of Parliament. That is not asking Royal Media Services to keep away, and that's the reason why you are here without any problem. Actually, I'm told Leto is not affected. It's only Seth Olale who is affected by this investigation, and it's going on. It is not just investigations by parliamentary bodies, but other agencies of government have been brought in because there was a total uproar from members that their security was heavily compromised by the conduct of this particular individual. I don't know him. I have no issues with him, but we have issues with what has been raised that was the conduct of the officer.
What is the fate of the 6 cabinet nominees who were brought back? Can they still go through the vetting process? Yes, they were dismissed.
Yes, they will be vetted.
No, not vetted.
Yes.
Still occupy public office.
Yes. Yes, they can. If you read the law properly and the constitution, the persons who cannot occupy public offices are those who have been removed from office on account of violation of Chapter 6 provisions of the Constitution. These cabinet secretaries were simply dismissed. There was no allegation of any wrongdoing against them. They just went with everybody. So they can be given an opportunity to come back. And the history of this country will tell you that many, many people who are removed from office and went back to office.
Okay, and maybe you can also clarify when this exercise of vetting is set to begin.
The clock will start ticking when I receive communication from the executive. So far, I have not received any communication from the executive. If we receive the information from the executive today or tomorrow, we'll publish the names to the public as is required under the law. The public will be given an opportunity to send in memorandum, any objections or any accolades, whatever, and we will then thereafter set a date for the vetting. So once we receive communication from the executive, the rollout will be in public. You will see it in the papers that we have now the following people for vetting. Anybody who has any issues, tell us. And the vetting will be on this date.
Last two
Yes, these are, in law, these are totally fresh appointments. The moment the president, as the head of the executive and the head of government and head of state, pronounced himself that he dismissed the cabinet, there ceases to be a cabinet. So these appointments are seen as fresh appointments, and they start from where they started when they were first appointed.
Okay. Speaker, my name is Vincent Apande.
I know you, Vincent.
Yeah, I just need clarification.
Yes.
You say the media personnel will be housed across the Red Cross.
Yes.
So do you have any time frame when we'll be coming back to our media center?
As a matter of fact, the next media center is not going to be this prefab out here. We have a budget, and we have discussed with your leaders whom we met. We have rolled out a state-of-the-art media center. We have identified a suitable location within this parliamentary compound, and we are soon going to tender. And we have been advised that the construction, once the tender process is done, will not take more than 3-4 months. And you'll enjoy working here because it's going to be a design of a building with your own contribution on how you can have your equipment, how you can engage among yourselves, how you can conduct interviews. We can have, normally in Parliament, you can have interviews or press statements by a group of members. You may have a press statement from an individual member on a narrow issue, or you may be conducting an interview in the next room, and the big group is in another room issuing their statements. We are going to give you those facilities. Yes.
Thank you for that. Now, accessing Parliament even today, even now, was a challenge. Here, coming here. The other rooms, the Tower, that one is okay. My question would be, we are here because sometimes we need documents, we need we need interviews with members, and accessing Parliament right now, presence of Parliament is a challenge. I don't know, in the meantime, as we wait for the construction of
the new center,
I
yes.
don't know what are the interim measures we put in place to make it easier for us to access.
There shouldn't be any issue.
It's a challenge.
If, because my clerk is here, the clerk of the Senate and the Director General of our services, they have been directed by PSC. And we talked to your president of the Parliamentary Journalists Association, the Editors Guild, and Media Council, that for the security of Parliament, they are going to give you fresh accreditation badges. There should be no hindrance to that at all. You should just walk in. If the design is different with new security features, they'll give you a new one. When you come, you'll enter Parliament like any member of Parliament comes in because you have your badge, you have your security accreditation. So if there was any inconvenience, this is the first time you are coming in to talk to us since the unfortunate events of 3 weeks ago. From now going to the future, you want to come to the table office to get a document, nothing will stop you. You want to come to pick a document in my office as a speaker, nothing will stop you. You want to see the clerk, nothing will stop you.
Thank you. I think the issues about especially referring the presidential memorandum that you said you received.
The one on finance bill.
Yes, yeah, of the finance bill, not specifically finance bill, but allocation of revenue.
Yes.
You said that the president has sent it back. I thought the president had signed that bill into law, and now it was an acta, and that is why the budget estimates were ahead the other day. What happened?
Mhm. Pardon? You see, once you amend the county, once you have a memorandum on the county allocation of revenue, it has a bearing on the division of revenue. So the two are like twins, they go together. So when the division of revenue bill, which was ascended to by the president, was put in focus with the reference back of CARA, then the finance committee and the budget committee have to look at the division of revenue to amend it in line with CARA. You get the point? Yes. Because once you divide between the national government and the county governments, then the bulk goes to the Senate for allocation to each county. Now, if what is allocated shrinks in the division of revenue, then the allocations to the counties must also shrink. Anything else?